Welcome to the Alita Army channel. This is Radio KAOS, the voice of the Alita Army, episode 7, sales figures, and hashtag Alita sequel Twitter trend on the 6th of Feb, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gunmu, and the greatly desired sequels. I'm the host for this episode, Max Takaduroi, that's my online handle, and with me are the usual crew. We're looking at Dennis from Germany.
Hi there, everybody.
We've got Eddie McTrigger, who's made it in.
Y'all. Yep. Hey, howdy.
We've also got Pooley, who's running the show from South England. Foxfire, who's in Germany. You there, Fox? He's typing.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I was typing.
If you hear typing, that's Fox. Yeah. So he's just actually saying he speaks through his keyboard. Yes. And we've also out in the chat. We've got Charles Smith, who's provided us with a whole bunch of information, but I don't know, didn't want to jump on the stream with us. He's in the chat, so he'll be providing comment from in the chat. Our other planned guest, Mr. Sam, is auspicious by his absence. We've sent him the link and we're hoping he'll pop in at some point. Okay, so as we don't have any introductions, because you've heard from all of us before, we'll just cruise on into the Alita news. So it's been a huge week. The Twitter push did some amazing things that we weren't expecting. I was kind of surprised with how some of my tweets went. Did any of you guys get surprised by how it went? Well, my understanding of it was that we had less tweets, but we got more notice from news sources. So, ups and downs. We actually got a huge list of news reports here. Cineblend, what we got covered, Movie Web, The Thrillist, Moose Gazette, that's a good one, CBR, Screen Rant, Pop Dust, the list goes on. So it was pretty amazing. Did anybody pick one of those that really talk to them? Want to have a quick chat about it? Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that worked, but it did. I really think that they might have been surprised by the first one and didn't quite get on the bandwagon before the train had left town. But I think they were ready for this one. Did we put out any feelers to let them know it was coming, or were they just ready this time for these sorts of things? Apparently they can't hear you, Paulie. Your audio is not coming through.
There you go.
Did you press the wrong button again?
Yeah, shut up.
I'm talking to myself.
Yes, you're talking to chipped people on your shoulders.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Chibi Paulie. We need a Chibi Paulie.
I'm here now.
If you like, I could go over the article a bit. If you share if I share my screen.
Yep.
Like. Okay. Give me a second.
Let's see.
So, yeah.
I have some breaking news for you.
Oh, Dennis has got breaking news. Go for it.
Yeah. Rosa just acknowledged the Twitter push with an article on her Instagram. I just sent you the picture.
Nice. Can you pull that one out of the stream notes, or out of the stream chat?
It's in the chat.
I could. I don't. Do the users still see my screen? So
Yes.
I can see it.
yeah, great.
So I can.
So yeah. So this just happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6th of February. I see. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, cool. That comes just in time.
It was good of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rose.
Fans of-
So Rose is on board with us.
In fact,
obviously.
now
Yeah.
it's 12 minutes ago. I'm sorry, and it's
Oh, sorry, it's too old. We can't talk about it. It's too old.
Yeah, so I was like I had a déjà vu because it looks really similar like to the last one we where I also did it, and then I looked on the date and I was, oh yeah, that's fresh, you know. So it's cool. Took the demand for a sequel to Twitter and got Alita sequel trending on the social media side. The film's recent release on HBO may have helped reignite the loyal fan base. And what's cool is that Charlie just said that Alita is now also on Hulu. So, or just got announced on Hulu. So I hope that you can share a link or so, because that would be cool. Did you hear anything about that?
no.
Yeah, that's. I was surprised as well.
That would mean that Disney accept Alita as their part of their portfolio,
Yeah,
basically.
and
That's quite good.
this would basically kill a complete theory that is going on that because of HBO we couldn't have Alita on any Disney cable networks and stuff, and this was thought as a reason why we can't have a sequel, because HBO is generating more profit, because in that case if Disney would advertise Alita. So, but it doesn't seem to happen like that way.
I think all the
I'm going to
ins and
send you a
outs
screenshot.
agreements in Hollywood's pretty complicated, and they're certainly not telling us what they're doing.
Yeah,
You saying,
I
Dylan?
will get.
Nope.
See what? What's that? What?
Dennis started talking as I started talking, so I was just.
I just sent you a screenshot from the Hulu website.
Oh yeah, cool.
Nice.
That's actually.
Oh, okay. There I have it. Yeah. Okay. Apparently, it just happened. Cool. Yes.
So Hulu
was
on the
waiting
free
for our
trial
stream.
opening page are advertising Alita, so that's good.
New subscribers only. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, strange. Okay. Well, yeah, that's cool. So they are doing something with Alita. So finally.
Well, every bit of advertising we can get is good advertising.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Considering a lot have been done basically this entire week, considering the year anniversary is coming up. A lot's been going on. Plus, Keanu spoke about, or was heard about the banner about it. I think Senseway put a video up. I'll quickly get the video up. But apparently, Keanu Johnson, who plays Hugo, kind of reacted and did a stream about general stuff, but then they brought up the Alita armor, and he seemed to be really happy about the banner over the Oscars.
Yeah.
So that's quite nice. I'll quickly just get the video up, just talk among yourselves.
I think I have a screenshot of that. That is.
Yeah.
Maybe I can show that. So.
Thank you, Senseway, for the video.
There he is.
Yeah.
That happy face. That was just a moment when it happened.
Yeah, I've got it up. But it's basically they did like a live stream, and then this is kind of like a snippet of the entire stream, but you can see, and they just like explain, oh, did you know the Lee Army they've raised like over $8,000 to do this insane thing over the Oscars, and then Keanu's just over there smiling and just looking really happy. So
Yeah, it's a kind of a shame that he's one and done with the Alita movies,
Keanu,
because
yeah.
I don't think his character will be coming back. You got to keep in mind
No.
that they did this work like 4 years ago. Like we're a year out basically, but they're like 4 years out. You know that this is ancient history for them. So they've moved on. They've done other projects. They're looking at other things, and because there's no noise going on about a new movie in production, it's not really on their radar. And that's why they're getting surprised by these things. I mean, obviously, being the actress who starred in the first movie, Rosa is keeping her finger on the pulse because she wants to do this again.
I think she has one of the bigger roles. I think usually in films, when you get told, or when you're in the film, you get told of what's happening next. Like, I'm going to go into Star Wars for a moment, even though like Hayden Christensen is not involved with Star Wars as much now, he still gets told what's happening around Disney, what's happening with new films, if they have plans for him coming back, and etc. etc. So I think it'll be the same with Alita. I think they probably know some stuff about what maybe James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez is thinking, but they still haven't really heard from Disney, or they have. We can hope. But I think if they will know like a couple years before, or they will know about a year before any shooting or announcement comes up if anything will happen. So we'll have to see if they can bring some spoilers if that ever comes up to be.
Yeah, well, the ones of them that know that they'll be in the second one have interest in keeping up. Rosa has interest in keeping up. Ed Screen, the last time I saw him doing an interview, he was real hopeful and, oh yeah, I'd love to do another movie and everything. And I think those guys keep up. It was pretty obvious with Kean Johnston that he hasn't really kept up and didn't know what was going on, which is just another tip off, just like you would think from a literary standpoint that his character was in fact one and done. Because if he thought he was going to get to come back for another subcontract job on a film like that, he'd be keeping up.
Yeah.
But that's what they're basically, it's think of them like subcontractors, and they go in and they do a job, then they're looking for their next job. Their eyes are forward. They don't really have a rear view mirror. Only the ones of them that are thinking they're in a second one are keeping up.
Yeah, I'd track with that as well.
Yeah, I do feel like there's going to be more, especially with Keanu, if Rosa finds out, then, or Jim finds out, or whoever, Crystal finds out, then they're probably going to tell Keanu or something, and that's going to be sort of like I just envision their big group chat, their set group chat for Alita, and they're probably just like, it's like John Lander's just there, just like typing away, saying, "Yeah, we're trying, we're doing everything. Just tell Disney, please. Tell them to tell Disney." So I do feel like there's hope.
Well, my take on the Twitter push was more, rather than begging Disney, I was just saying, look, there's this big fan base. We've got the money. We want to spend it on another movie, make another movie. Disney, if you don't make it, someone else will, and they'll get the money. You know, I wasn't trying to just beg, because, you know, when you go to like a monolithic organization and beg for something, they're not going to listen. They're just like, oh, we can't be, go away. Yeah. Especially when Alita isn't their IP. My understanding is that they're focused on IPs they own because they can control them, whereas Alita is not something they can control, and control seems to be a big thing for the mouse. So my feeling was, rather than just throw everything at Disney, I threw ats all around: Warner Brothers, Paramount, Sony. You know, I threw it everywhere. And basically, I wanted to give Disney the idea that if they don't do it, someone else will, and they'll get the money.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel there's more points towards Disney. It's kind of like Fox. Now that Disney bought Fox, a lot of people think Disney have the rights to Alita, but in some cases they don't. They just have advertising rights and
distribution.
Yeah, distribution rights. It's Lightstorm, James Cameron's company, that has the rights to an Alita film.
Yeah, and they have actually not only the distribution rights for the first movie, because as long as they don't want to make a second one, they don't have the distribution rights for the second movie.
Yeah.
So they have to make the deal first.
Yeah.
Well, my understanding from what I was reading was the distribution is a very complicated matter, just like everything else in Hollywood. And you have distribution within continental United States, and then you have worldwide distribution. Now, I'm not sure who did the distribution in the US, but I'm pretty sure Disney was involved in the worldwide distribution of the original movie before they bought 20th Century. Fox doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah, it's one of those things where even when they're not involved, they're involved, because of that bit.
It might have been that thing, considering James Cameron's associated with Disney, with Avatar. He may have asked Avatar, sort of them spending money for Avatar, to say, okay, could I take a little bit of chip out of the Avatar budget and put it into Alita? That seems like a very James Cameron move, because he does like juggling his money, considering when he was making the first Avatar, they were making other Terminators, and he was kind of juggling a lot of the money around to benefit this scene. Oh no, we need that money. Okay, we need to take some of that money out for this scene. Okay, we take more of it. Okay, we're going to give you back what we have left. And Jim's very good at producing and managing his money for his companies, considering Terminator is still a Lightstorm production, even though it's under Paramount or whatever. But especially when he was making Titanic, the money was coming in from so many other investors, from 20th Century Fox, from Lightstorm, from his own pocket, from some of the actors, and he was always associated
TSG
with
Entertainment.
Yeah, so he's trying to get all this money in, and he's trying to like move money around for his own projects, and he's very good at it.
As Eddie said, Hollywood.
Yeah, that's what Landau's there for. Landau's really his move the money around guy, pretty much. Yeah, well, Hollywood accounting, it's you can Google it. It's a term. It's a legendary term. The mob doesn't operate their books the way Hollywood operates their books, and they wouldn't let anybody else get away with it. But it's just age old, and it's like trying to see what's going on in a black hole. They won't let you. There's many times that there's been lawsuits about certain films that have been made and stuff like that. They'll actually just pay out massive settlements instead of revealing any of the finances if they're ordered to in courts. There's no way to know what anything actually costs, what it actually makes, how it makes its money. They're not going to let you see it.
Yeah, I remember they were saying something. Going back to Jim Cameron, when he was making Titanic, he couldn't tell advertisers that he put his own money into the film. Apparently, Fox were quite strict on that. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but apparently there was rumours that he didn't want to tell them where money came into, considering it was the biggest budget film at the time. They didn't want him to know. So it seems like they're very conscious about the money going out more than they are in. I think they're more open to saying, "No, we made $2 billion," or we continue Titanic. If we go to Alita, say, "Oh, we made $400 million worldwide," but we're not going to tell you how much we put into it, because that's how we work. That's kind of what they're thinking.
That's very interesting. Charles on the chat is basically saying that Hollywood accounting is there to stop the stars asking for a bigger cut.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's why it starts out. Yeah, and it's been there all the way through the history of the movie industry. And they just don't want anybody knowing what they make. It's kind of like, Major League Baseball, the NFL, they try to do the same sort of things, but really Hollywood is the one that's legendary for it. Yeah, but in pro sports they do it to keep athletes from trying to get more and more of the pie. But they don't do it like Hollywood.
Alrighty, so we've sort of moved on. We've moved off the Twitter and moved on to finances. So if we want to just kick off on the finance talk, we can come back to the Twitter push in a short while. We might get one of our guests showing up by that time. Okay. So, Fox, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, excellent. So, I know you're muting your microphone so that we don't get all the keyboard noise, but and thank you for doing that. So, do you want to go over the information that Charles has sent you about the financing for the Are We Buying Enough Blu-rays?
Yeah, I would like to first start with the general information that is up. I will put on my screen, so maybe you can share it back. So.
Okay, you're good.
So at the moment, all we know, or what most people know if they are looking up the numbers, is that worldwide box office was reported with 402 million. And the home video sales, physical wise, is 18 million. And so the problem with especially the home video section is that you only get the national physical sales. And for the box office itself, you don't actually really know how much they may have got back. There are only those percentage that are estimated. And yeah, Charlie was very kind and compiled a spreadsheet together, and it is very, very packed. Yeah, so don't get angsty if you see it in a second. I try to break this. We'll try to break this down as or keep it short. And the for me interesting bits were the revenues that came out of the box office. It's very small. I don't know if you can read it, but it said Alita Battle Angel box office revenues. And he started off on a year to date with total numbers of the 404 million. Yeah, it got downgraded by the numbers to 402, but it's still in the same magnitude of order. 404 million was just a few weeks before reported. And yeah, then he made some calculations based on the weeks. And then we have in the last column a total number of 247 million as revenue. And there are several ideas out there that for example, in America, you get like a 60 to 80% return on the box office from the cinemas, while other places in the world just give you less, like China gives only 25%. That's the reason that we get only a smaller percentage. He had like a little bit more, it's like half of that. Some people say you get only 25% from China. I'm not sure on that. The US wise is like, you see like 60-70% from that 85 million. And ROV is the rest of the world is 123 million. That sums up to 247 million. Production cost wise, he came to 165 million. Originally, it was 200 million as a budget. But due tax initiatives from Texas and from New Zealand, the number came down to 165. And this is what you would need initially to earn just to get this, the budget back. And there's still marketing costs to calculate. And so for viewers to understand, they said like you need that and that much on box office to get costs back. Yeah, what I showed you there is like that are the costs that you need, and if you have remember yourself of the percentage, then you lose money from box office because you have to give some part to the cinemas. So if we go with box office numbers, you would need 350 million. From Fox Insider, the number from the Fox Insiders, to get them back. Others stated something to up to 500 million, but I don't think that this number is accurate. So many people think the truth is somewhere in the middle, like in the 400 million, 430 million. I think Scott Mendelsohn had something like 430 million as an estimate for what Alita would need to earn. And yeah, if you come back to our spreadsheet, that would if you take out the earnings for the cinemas, that's what you need to earn, 165 million. So then we have the marketing costs. Charlie assumed 100 million, but I don't think it's that much. I have heard numbers from 30 million, like that's similar costs that Endgame had. Endgame had like 25 to 28 million in advertising costs. Yeah, and what is also interesting in this spreadsheet is the total revenues of home video. Yeah, I said physical and digital, and if you combine this worldwide, he has calculated something of 61 million by December of 29. If I'm really looking at it, no, it's here. Yeah, July to December 2019 is 61 million, and yeah, after that, with streaming, etc., there would come something on top. It could be more, but that's what I've seen or found in the spreadsheet. Personally, I think with home video, I found this interesting graphic just to get the people as some kind of image how those numbers combine. And we have like this diagram. This is for 2018, and the dark blue thing is that what the numbers.com gives you as an information. Like here, this 80 million would be represented by this dark blue thing, national physical Blu-ray sales. Then we have international sales, so rest of the world without US. And then we would have digital sales, that would be the green bars. So you see that what the numbers gives you, the 80 million is all just a small fraction. So I think that 60 million could be true. It could be even far more than that. I'm not sure on that. But if you say that it isn't like exactly the 100 million in marketing costs, and you put in all the home video sales on top of it, then you don't have a minus of 70 million like he has calculated with box office alone. We would have maybe like 60, 70 millions in the plus with Alita Battle Angel if you consider like only 30 million in marketing. Yeah, it would be like 55 million just in the plus the 60 million in Blu-ray and home video. Then it's like even 100 million around that we had in the plus. But this is like we can't know for sure at this point. So
I don't think we can ever know for sure, man. It's Hollywood accounting.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'll just make one comment on that. I've read a couple of articles where they were talking about the returns from China. Obviously, the biggest sales of tickets was in China, and it has the potential to be the lowest return back to the studio based on the negotiations between China and the studio. Now, the low numbers, the 25% return, was at the, as I understand it, was at the low point a couple of years ago, where China was being very difficult with the studios. But my understanding is that it's renegotiated on a fairly regular basis, and obviously they won't tell us what the percentage is. But I have heard rumors that the percentage has gone up in recent times because obviously China is attempting to, play a little bit fairer with the studios because they sort of want to get in good with them. I understand that there's a number of movies like Mission Impossible recent movies are being funded out of China. So there's links going on between China and the studios, and I think that the quid pro quo is sort of happening where the percentage is going up. It's not as low as 25% anymore, but obviously they're not going to tell us what it is because nobody tells us anything. So a lot of this
Midway was funded entirely out of China.
There you go.
The one with Ed Screen and Kian Johnson. The Chinese liked it because they like anything that shows the Japanese in a bad light and them in a good light. And of course, we're at war with Japan. And in the movie, they also insert Doolittle's raid, which goes across Japan, bombs Japan over Tokyo, and lands in China. And so the Chinese are the good guys in the movie.
This is a very loose term, I think.
Yeah, so the Chinese funded it entirely. Also, on those percentages, they change. They'll take 80% on the first week in the States, and then it starts to decline. That's how they keep it in the theater, is by declining the percentages, and that's why they're all so big on having that big opening weekend, is because that's when they rake in the most of the chips. Some smaller movies, more independent movies, that they'll ask for less, even as low as 30 and 40% in American theaters, just to get the theater to bring it in. Because one of the big debates has been, do we change the ticket price based on budgets of the movies? But the studios have been really against that. But the way they compensate for that is, even though you pay the same price to go see a movie that costs $40 million to make as you do to go see one that costs $120 to make, is the percentages. They'll just ask for a much higher percentage, but then it declines. And the same thing happens in China. It happens in every country. The studios are getting the most money when it's a brand new movie, and then they're declining the percentages to keep it in the theaters.
And then, of course, the ticket prices drop. You get budget weeks and stuff.
Eventually, you get the $5 theater. Yeah.
Avon's saying that Paulie's posing with his Damascus again in chat.
Yeah, like a pro has to do.
Exactly, I've mastered it.
So Charles
Keep my
in the chat stream is talking about he's keeping his percentages low. He's being careful to avoid overestimating.
Yeah. So even his estimate was 100 million for marketing, and still he has 55 million as a profit. So it isn't bad, but I really don't think that they spent that much on marketing, etc. on top. So it might be even more.
Hey, I've got a hold of Mr. Sam. He's just telling me the link isn't working, but other than that, he's actually online. I'm working on getting him in here.
Finally.
Yeah. So he might have. So the link I sent him doesn't work. What? Oh, come on. Hangouts, you evil thing.
Excuses. Still need to talk about a GoFundMe page.
Oh yeah. So I've resent him the link. I'm hoping it's working. If it isn't, one of you guys might want to just jump on a DM with Mr. Sam on Twitter and send through a link, because the one that I'm sending may not be working. Okay, so we might shift back to the Twitter push for a minute. We've just got a tweet from Wendy's. I'm presuming that's the company Wendy's, who sell the desserts and
the burgers. Yeah.
Oh, they do burgers. See, in Australia, Wendy's is more donuts and ice creams and stuff like that. They don't really go in for the burger joints.
Okay.
But obviously, that's a bit different in the US. But yeah, they've posted that they would watch a sequel for sure. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, I've sent him another link. Is it going to work? Have you tried it? These are the questions we must ask ourselves. Nope, that link isn't working. God damn it.
Also, Open Bionics hopped on the sequel train. I'll send you that link as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, they got a lot of reason to support us. We're supporting them. It's quid pro quo.
It's too soon for that.
No, it's never too soon. I mean, we've got their word out as well. It's not just the GoFundMe; it's also that we're increasing their profile. I'm pretty sure they'd be impressed with that as well.
Yeah, considering they're very associated with Tilly as well, it seems that she quite clearly likes the movie, so so she probably uses Alita as like an example a lot, to be honest. So they're probably very happy about Alita, because it's kind of it's pretty much what they're doing is creating Alita. In a way, they're creating those cyborg bodies. Crap.
Exactly. I believe that they also do a range of other character arms, like Iron Man and various other things.
I think they have done an Iron Man one with Robert Downey Jr. Considering they got Robert Downey Jr. and then they got John Lando for Alita, but they do a lot of this kind of cool projects for random people, but it's quite sweet, and it gained a lot of publicity, especially if you go into the movie world. Because imagine just seeing like Alita's arm or Iron Man's gauntlet. It's quite cool. So people will be interested in that.
Yeah, so we'll just jump back to the Twitter push while we're trying to get Mr. Sam on. Actually, he's just sent me his alias, of course. Let me. Okay,
He's saying that he's getting errors.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
I can't remember how many tweets there were for Alita sequel. Was it like 20,000 or something?
20,000 some, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the last one. I think it was roughly the same for the last one as well.
The last one was about
2027.
Not sure. I thought about 50.
50. That's a lot more than I saw.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's go back to it.
So I was sitting there in TweetDeck. I'd loaded up about 5 tweets because I come into it fairly late, and just like maybe 30 seconds before my clock ticked over to the kickoff time, the TweetDeck just went insane. The current listing for #Alita sequel just went. I've never seen anything like this. Being a Twitter noob, I only joined in December to push, the sequel and also my fan novel. It was just amazing to see it take off. I was really, really surprised.
It went full Matrix.
It did. It was insane. I don't know what the first one was like. Was there any of you guys there for that one?
Yes.
Did you see it take off? Was it as quick? Was it like 3, 2, 1 take off and it just like rocketed?
Well, I remember it was like noon, or it was like about 10 o'clock or so when it started for me, the last one. And I remember just waking up thinking, oh, it's not too bad. Kind of just did whatever, got some food, came back to my computer, and I just had like so many notifications just saying Alita sequel, and I was just like, oh wow. I was gone for like an hour and there's already about 1,000 tweets. So it's quite spectacular.
Well, my understanding was that we had to beat the baseline. So there was a baseline of about 60 or 70 tweets that had come in through the last 24 hours. And that was our baseline we had to beat. And I think we beat that in about 30 seconds.
Yes.
And then it just went up from there. And I don't know how comparative it would be. I mean, we could probably see when the Oscars hits in about 24 hours, what we're going to be looking at is the number of tweets there, which, significantly larger number of people, so there'll be significantly more tweets. But I think compared to the size of our fandom, I think we did a fantastic job.
Yes. And plus,
I have a graphic for that to show how good we did. I will share my screen once again. So
yes, please.
Oh, hello, Mr. Sam. Haha.
You see it?
Yes, there you go.
So like in the beginning, or you see the initial interest in our movie in February 10. So it was, of course, at a peak with all the marketing budget going in, and then you see later two spikes again. One was with the Blu-ray release that came later. It was like on 25, a little bit more than 25%, 30% of the initial peak. And then we have the last one, which is at 17% of the initial interest when the movie got released. And this number is pretty insane if you think about it, because with the initial release of the movie, they had to put a marketing budget from like 30 million down to reach that. And what we did, we didn't do it alone. We had, of course, help. We had all the streaming services going online. We had the news coverage that came after our Twitter push, but we caused that news to be there in the first place. So we had a big stake in that thing, and we did it on zero budget. So I think that's still cool.
Yeah, it is.
Considering when a lot of it peaked, you think February is when the film came out, kind of in July areas when the Blu-ray came out, and now it's peaking again in a year later.
I don't think that there are many movies that have still an interest 1 year later, so that they produce any kind, like except Star Wars or the big properties like here the DC universe. Everything else dies like after a few months. So yeah, that's that.
Speaking of that, today is my 1 year anniversary for seeing the movie, because I saw a pre-release the weekend before Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. Lucky.
I've actually got the Facebook post that I sent out. Where's that hiding? I linked it in the council chat. Can you, Paulie, can you find that there? That Facebook link?
Has it just been sent?
Hang on. I'll transfer it from one conversation to the other. So that's it there.
Okay, yep.
Can pull that up.
Yep, I got it.
So yeah, it is 1 year today that I first saw the movie, and I would have to say, considering I'm sitting here now talking in an international live stream, that it has been a life-changing experience. I don't know how many others feel the same way.
It's me. If you told me a year ago that I would be where I am now, I would not believe you. I'd just
Exactly right.
say that you're mad and then walk away unimpressed.
That's what usually happens. So can you pull that up? Is it?
Yes, it's got it.
Here we go. Okay. Can you click the see more, because there's more to see, obviously. So yeah, that's my initial review while the endorphins were still running.
Okay, yeah. Seymour's up. I'm guessing
So,
that's
next-
our PG-13 stuff done for the first line.
Yeah, that's Facebook.
I'm while we are talking about the PG thing, I honestly hope that they keep that PG-13 thing is gritty enough, and they can get across the concepts of the manga without getting in all the brutal details, too even more brutal. Like, I wouldn't like it if it would be brutal like Altered Carbon, for example. If it would be like in that direction, it would be too much for my taste. I liked the series, I liked it really, but one season was enough for me.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing. You want to keep the fans happy, but you want to expand the fan base. So I think they did a really good job with the first movie, making it PG-13. But looking at where they're going, if they stick with some of the manga arcs, I can't see them with what happens with Japan sticking with the PG-13. That thing is just going to be freaking scary when it's moving around on the screen.
I think they'll do it. It's just they will find a way to change in a way. So a lot of the stuff, just like not as gory, especially because manga is very gory. They're gonna have to try and find a way to crank down the volume a little bit. But I think they will kind of incorporate a lot of these different stories, like the Japan story, from Joshuken's story to all that. They will like put it into one, like they did with 2 volumes for the first movie, really, or chapters.
Well, and they got away with a lot of violence that they couldn't have gotten away with if they were using people. I mean, I was surprised Tanji got cut in half the way he was.
Yeah.
But I mean, Gruishka getting cut in half, head to crotch, and beaten in the back alley ambush, people's heads coming off and getting smashed and everything else. You couldn't have done it if you weren't using, non-human characters.
But they are human. They're just not all human.
Yeah, but it doesn't look that way. There's blue blood coming out and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the person,
so
when someone's heads come off, they're still talking. So
yeah.
it doesn't, like, you don't notice they're dead, so you don't feel.
It's
like,
a little
horrible.
cartoony.
Yeah.
Cartoony violence.
And like I do feel like they got away with Tanji slice, mainly because I think it's because. Oh, someone's joined. I think it's because they hid it a lot. They hid a lot. Like, it's covered by blood. You see a little bit of blood coming out, but it's very much hidden, and you only see it for like 15
it's
frames
a split
at most.
second.
Yeah,
it's a split second. Yeah.
So
yeah, my Facebook partner. No, I'm sorry, Pooley. I didn't hear you talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think they having them sort of have it for about 15 frames. Your mind doesn't. You know what's happened, because you see the blade going through him. But when you see it, you kind of don't have time to process it before the next thing. I think then them rushing into Hugo's reaction, we kind of forgot about those 15 frames, and we're going into Hugo's reaction. We see that for a long time. And I think that's how they kind of got away with it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't notice it. Jacob White, my partner, the other admin in the Facebook group, until I told him it happened, and he went back and rewatched it, he didn't even notice it had happened.
How do you not notice somebody getting chopped in half? That's
yeah, but he didn't. The part where they actually show him laying there cut in half, it went past him.
I noticed the foobar, the Stanley foobar, the tool Tanji was using.
Yeah.
Silence. What's up?
Yeah, you can kind of see he is in pieces, or in 2, but yeah, you don't really notice it very well, especially from how quick it is. Like, I'm going to try and count how long it takes. I hope they I hope they keep it PG-13 though. I think it'll be better for sales. It's about 2 seconds. No. Okay, anyway.
Okay, so Mr. Sam's trying to get on, but Hangouts is not. The Hangout's not popping up for him. If anybody in the council who is on the chat actually has the access to remove him from the conversation, he's asked to be removed so he can rejoin. So if you can access that, I can't from where I didn't actually create this room, so whoever created the room might be the one who can actually do that part.
See if I can get a link. work.
All right. So as for the Twitter push, there's a whole bunch of coverage, as I mentioned. So go and check those out. They were pretty cool. I'm kind of stunned and pleased that one of my tweets managed to get over 60,000 impressions. So that I would consider that going viral.
Yeah, indeed.
So yeah, I don't think that bar is going to be reached again with any of my tweets. So I might have peaked a bit early. You know, I've only been on Twitter for a month and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how that feels.
So other news, you might have seen in reports if you do any searching for Gunnm or anything like that on Google, that about a week ago they wrapped up the. Now I'm going to slaughter this because I don't know French very well, but Angoulême International Comics Festival, I believe is how you say it, but I could be completely wrong there. And Yukito Kishiro was there, so obviously he's doing better health-wise if he's managed to fly from Japan to France. My understanding is that the French absolutely love Gumu. They're absolutely bonkers for it. I think it was one of the early translations after English, and I think they actually have a deluxe version of Last Order that's already in French and out. In fact, I think Last Order's got a deluxe version in French and German, but not in English yet, which is interesting. So obviously demand is high in Europe. So thank you, Europe. Keep that up. Keep your keto in cookies and medical expenses paid. So that would be good. We've got to keep him alive so he can keep writing Mars Chronicle. So there's a link to that, Paulie, if you could pull that up. There's actually he did some interviews, and there were some very interesting comments that he made there. So you might want to check that out. I don't have anything specific that I want to pull from that one, but there was quite a bit of coverage from that one. So you might want to check that out. Also, our GoFundMe, last time I checked it, it was up to nearly $8,300
Yes.
which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, $8,314. Way over
Yep,
the
so
target.
it's popped up a little bit more. Well, you say that, Paulie, but the original plan was to fund the flight, which is going ahead. In fact, I think there's a tweet with pictures of the banner being made.
Uh-huh.
Do you have that one?
I don't
available?
believe I do, no.
Right. Can anybody flick that to Paulie so we can put it up? So once we got the money for the banner, everything extra was going towards Open Bionics. So the original thought was that we weren't expecting to have a huge amount of money beyond what we needed for the banner. So it was just a case of, the little bit extra, little bit extra, would be dropped into Open Bionics to go towards an arm. And then when Star, who isn't here at the moment, he's a little bit occupied. When he saw that it was just taking off like a rocket, the feeling was then that we wanted to try to get to $12,000, which is the cost of a single arm. So the hope was then that we could get Tilly Lockey in to present that arm to the recipient. And we're getting close there. We've probably got we're getting close to 3/4 of the cost. So if you can spare any shekels, please pop those into the GoFundMe. We want to try and get there and get the whole arm so that we can present an arm to a deserving amputee who will then be sporting an Alita arm like Tilly Lockey does. So that would be terrific if we can swing that. And I do believe that. Now what was that? Oh yeah, there's been a whole bunch of YouTubers who've been commenting on the Twitter push, and there was one particular YouTube. It's only got 95 followers, so it's not a big channel, but they were really impressed. They were comparing Release the Snyder Cut to Alita sequel. and some of their comparisons were very favorable. And they also said that both the fandoms were working on fundraising for charities, which is a very positive thing that we're both doing. And whereas ours is Open Bionics, theirs is suicide prevention, because apparently the reason the Snyder Cut didn't happen, if you don't know this, is because Zack Snyder's, I think it was his daughter, committed suicide while he was working on the movie, and he had to leave because of that, which is completely expected. You know, you can't be creative when you're in huge amounts of grief. So that's why the Snyder Cut didn't happen in the first place. And apparently the Snyder Cut exists. He's cut it. It's there. It doesn't need to be any more money spent on it. They just need to release it. So Warner Brothers really need to, step up and stop being egomaniacs and actually make that thing happen.
I found the channel who was talking about that. It's into the Simmons-verse, or how's it called? I could
Simon.
The Simon's verse. Yeah, I found that one to be very interesting, and they were very complimentary of both fandoms. And then there was the link drawn between, the day that they're using to celebrate release of Snyder Cut is Valentine's Day, which is the same day our movie was released. So it does appear to have a lot of synergy with them, a lot of similarities. So have you guys seen any good YouTube coverage for the Twitter push? Anything that stood out to you?
I mean, I saw the Star Wars girl talking about it, or briefly talking about it, because she did an entire stream about this article about Alita, but she brought up the Twitter push and talked about it for a little, not too long.
Oh, yes. The chesticles outrage.
Yeah, that was thanks to Mario who sent a super chat to her. That's why she talked about it. So
yeah,
it was really weird. She didn't know all the details, but she did bring it up thanks to his super chat.
Yeah, she did an entire live stream about it. It's quite insane, considering her following, and she seems to be a very Alita, or a big Alita fan, so it's good to have her on board.
Whoa, our numbers have just increased. Welcome, Star of Elion and the last 300. Hashtag still mad. How you guys doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good.
All right.
We've been in drought for like 8 months, and now we've got more rain than we've had in the last 8 months, and there's storms, and half the country's on fire, the other half is flooded. Pretty standard.
Did you
Sounds like England.
Yeah, it's bigger. Bigger fans.
Yes, good point.
Did you guys went over what Charlie has talked in chat? I was putting up some links, and he talked about that with the rise of profits that will come in the next months, that Alita will have rise above a certain threshold of 85 million in profit, which would be 31% of return of investment, and this would bring her in sequel territory. So we may hear an announcement in the next month. So
I think Alita's already there.
Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I think Alita's already in sequel territory. I'm pretty confident that if Disney hadn't merged with Fox, we would have had a announcement already. And that's kind of part of my frustration.
I agree.
How many sequels did Spy Kids get?
Four.
I mean, total movies, I think 4. Total movies, I think were 4. The 3 sequels. So
I'm just saying that's about as much as we need for Alita. So, and those movies didn't make as much money as Alita did.
yeah, but they were cheaper to make too.
Yeah, that's the point too.
No, I'm talking about profit wise, like versus what they spent versus what they made. Profit wise, they made less profit.
Oh.
So they were cheaper, but they also made less. So relative, Alita's made more money than all of Spike Lee's movies. And they kept making sequels forever.
Yeah, I mean, it would make complete sense because usually the way it goes, if you introduce a new IP, you don't expect it to take off immediately, and if it does, you be thankful for it. But usually, I think in most cases, the sequel does better than the original, unless it's maybe just a bad sequel. But typically, I think the sequel does better than the original. So most studios will be willing to take a chance on it. If the movie doesn't lose money, you would think, well, let's take another chance on it, like Pacific Rim. But I think the first one didn't do that well. But it's just a matter of Disney not being interested. They don't really care. They don't want it, and it's up to Cameron to I don't know, do whatever he's trying to figure out whatever he's trying to figure out, and just move. In my opinion, just go.
Well, I think
I got a theory. I was gonna say I got a theory that they're kind of keeping it on the back burner as a trump card. Because I mean, they have a lot of stuff that they can put out there right now. I think they're trying to, drip it out and burn some of the other stuff out, and then they can start dropping these new IPs. You know what I mean? Think about how many X-Men don't have movies right now, or how many Marvel heroes don't have movies right now that they are talking about making movies about, but aren't making movies about, or you know what I'm talking? You know what I'm saying? Like they're trying to keep their cards close to their chest, maybe.
Well, the big problem is that now that they keep merging and buying everybody up, they've got so many IPs that some of them are going to get forgotten. And the fact that they don't own the IP, so they can't control it, it's basically on the well, we'll worry about this in 10 years' time when we run out of our own IPs to deal with kind of pile.
Yeah.
On the plus side,
I see that.
On the plus side, you remember the recent Forbes article. It is a plus for us, maybe a minus for Disney, but he was talking about that Marvel just recently killed off 2 of their most important characters, and that's Captain America and Iron Man. And without them, the popularity may fall very drastically. And Star Wars just got wrapped up its trilogy, so it will take a while until we hear something about that again.
What about Black Widow? They killed her too.
Yes, they killed her too. I know, and it's a shame. But she still gets a movie done in summer, so she isn't completely out yet. Yeah, but the point is, they may experience like a vacuum. They are falling in, and Alita would be extremely good to fill that up.
It's going to take years for them to feel the impact. Years for them to notice any sort of drop, because I think for at least maybe 3 or 4 more years, they're still going to be making billions of dollars per movie.
Remember, we're getting live action Bambi. Can't wait.
Well, actually, to go to something Star said just a second ago that's important. When we were running all those numbers, I noticed we never talked about merchandise, and they blew merchandising on this thing. And merchandising is a lot of where they make money now. I heard an exec talk a long time ago, and he's talking about Star Wars in particular, because they're the ones that really started just making bundles of money off merchandise, is if they can make all their money back off the original IP release before they're even touching merchandise, they're laughing all the way to the bank because they're going to rake it in. But they didn't go after merchandise for Alita. There's a lot of movies like the first Cars movie from Pixar. It didn't do too great against its budget, but once they sold $8 billion worth of merchandise off of it, they were okay with making another one. So, I mean, they're going to have to get the merchandising thing right this time.
100% agree on that one.
Yeah, I think that
basically where it's at.
Bad as far as the merger was concerned, that really kicked us in the guts.
It's almost like it was a perfect time to make this movie and the worst time to make this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like the
was
technology
the best
there
of
to
times.
make the movie, but the publicity and like what was interesting in the media was the wrong time, considering like Marvel was big at the moment.
And going up against a certain Marvel character who will remain nameless didn't help us much either.
The one who shall not be named.
Yes.
Wait, no, that's
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Voldemort.
Marvel.
I mean, I'm not afraid to say the name. I'm not afraid to say Captain Marvel, but you know, you got some people out there who are looking for stuff. But as long as we're not just dumping on it just unnecessarily, it's no problem. I think.
Listen, talking about Captain Marvel will be a positive experience if we just bring up the fact that family friendly streaming and all. She has nice assets. Every time we bring her up, just bring that up. You know what I mean?
I mean, I didn't mind the film. I thought it was not too bad. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I thought it was just really mediocre.
Yeah.
It was not.
I liked the film. I liked Samuel Jackson. I just didn't like Brie Larson. That's basically what I
Yeah,
have to say
and I was
about
saying
it.
here,
Like
Brie
compared
Larson
Ben
was the best
Mendelsohn.
part to me.
like even though it's
Yeah.
strange because I think Captain Marvel is the best comparison to Alita, considering the story arc is pretty similar. You basically have someone who's got amnesia and trying to discover who they are. They know they're powerful. They know their assets. They know who's around them, but they still don't know who they are, and that's what they're discovering. So it's kind of the exact same thing with Alita and Captain Marvel. But considering Alita kind of did it better because you got more engaged with the character, you felt more emotion with the character. It makes Alita just more interesting in general.
The characters were more three-dimensional in Alita. They were more three-dimensional in Alita. The Captain Marvel characters were all kind of flat and just all there to promote her and stuff. It was similar, and she doesn't really have as much character arc either. The character arc was sort of flat.
Personally, I'm one that pretty much enjoyed Captain Marvel. You know it all, and I have my own Blu-ray of her and that stuff, and I get the sentiment that this movie is getting because Captain Marvel basically is a person who is more locked up, more the emotions are like below the surface. You can see it, but it doesn't burst out like with Alita. Alita is like she has her heart on her sleeve, and she isn't that type of person who keeps it under wraps. And Captain Marvel does exactly that. And it's hard to compare them because they are so different from their personality in that regard. And I can feel that some people can't just connect with that if a person is too controlled and too caught up in a way. So you can see the emotions. You can see that she's fighting with herself in many parts in the movie. And I know also one complaint I hear a lot is that the stakes weren't there with her, and that is one where I say yes, the stakes were missing in a part because she wasn't in a crazy amount of danger, like at least once in that movie. And with Alita, you had at least one life-threatening situation where she was at the mercy of Grishka, and if nobody would have intervened, she would be dead meat. And this didn't happen with Captain Marvel. So a lot of the stakes were missing, and so people couldn't see themselves so good in her. Yeah, so that's the complaint I get, and I think it's valid.
Yeah,
Foxfire, check your DMs.
Yeah, that's kind of one thing I thought about Captain Marvel specifically compared to Alita. Alita doesn't end on a happy ending, and that's kind of what I think's a lot of movies are so just formulated around. It's just you start off well, you end well, and then you have your conflict in the middle. You have your start, which is all nice. You have your discovery, then you have your climax, then you have your penultimate ending, and then you have your end where it's all happy and lovely. But Alita just goes into saying you've lost everything that you loved, that you built up over these few weeks, and you've lost all that now. You have nothing. You're basically back where you started.
Oh, she's still got Ido.
Yeah.
And I think that arc. I think that arc you were just talking. I think that arc you were just talking about, Pooley, is going to happen over the course of 3 movies.
Yes, I think so as well.
That's kind of the plan. It's good. It's a trilogy, so
Yeah, I think
he's trying to tell.
Yeah, I do feel like it will be a you've like going back to Edo, kind of Alita built up the relationships of Hugo and those friends and Miss Shuin as well, and built those relationships, and then she lost all that. She still has Edo, but it's kind of more Edo has Alita than Alita has Edo. But I'm gonna conflict against how you will. Don't destroy me with DMs, please, with that comment. But I think there will be another thing. Alita has to lose. There has to be consequence, and Alita has to lose stuff in order to get what she wants. Like, she's lost Hugo, but that gave her the will to push for the Champions League. And then maybe she's going to have to lose something in order to get to Zalem. And then she's going to have to lose something else to get to Nova, and then she's going to have to lose something else to kill Nova. It's kind of that type of thing.
Well, I think definitely Edo dies in the second movie. He might as well have been wearing a T-shirt that says "I die" in the second movie, in the first movie. But I don't want to go into that right. I don't want to go into that right now. That's for a different show.
Well, look, they've changed a lot of things already. Maybe he doesn't. No, he's going to die.
What?
Yeah, you've seen what I wrote about that, I think, hadn't you, Ray?
I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah.
Going back to what Pulley was saying, a big theme in the manga is irreversible. I guess the best way to irreversibility. You know what I mean? Losing Edo, losing Hugo, losing whoever, messing up. There's no going back. And that's I think I said this in the last live stream, with the fact that this is actually a chapter in Last Order, saying how she can never go back. You know what I mean? This is not dropping any spoilers or anything like that. But I know the movie bring that to it. That kind of I think they're going to lighten the darkness, but it's going to be there. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be a big thing for her, is failure, and that's how we're going to have people. I guess if you've seen my last video before it got taken down, the whole point was the fact that she can be hashtags to him. She can be this overpowered because of the fact that she is such a failure. When you really boil it down to it, she couldn't save her love. She couldn't, going forward, we're not going to talk about spoilers, but it's really, I think that's the direction that the movies may go, because that is a good thing. That's a powerful thing, because it's something that everyone can connect to.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of an underdog.
Yes, she's an underdog.
She's an underdog.
Underdog.
Right.
Yeah.
She's an extremely powerful underdog.
They even said to her, "Here's our underdog,
Power fantasy,
darling."
but relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they even introduced her in mobile as their underdog darling. So
hey,
yeah,
kind of.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, but Dennis, that's you sneezing though?
Yeah.
He blowing his nose.
You got the Wu flu, man. You got the coronavirus over there.
Oh God, don't talk about that. Sid and I live in England.
Just so you know, it's the novel coronavirus, because
the novel way, yes.
And the cold are both coronaviruses.
Coronavirus, yes, let's make sure
it's not an individual virus. It
is the coronavirus that was engineered to be super powerful. Well, who's that, by the way?
That is Stella Chu. Maybe Pulita likes to share to the stream.
Yeah.
Stella Chu is one of the biggest cosplayers out there, and she just shared a new image of Alita. And this was just 40 minutes ago, and it's already exploding on Twitter, like with 600 likes already.
Yeah, I made sure to plug the campaign under there before it started blowing up. I should have forgot the charity. Forgot to put the fundraiser in there. Dang.
Yeah, I would just do right that. Yeah, so, but it's pretty cool. I like that. It's a cool image.
Everybody needs to like my comment to boost it up. Like the comment to boost it up.
Come on, Star. Get in there. Get the fundraiser.
Coronavirus equals Nova's nanobots.
Interesting.
I was going to bring up something about Nova too. How they were probably just misleading with the way they had him look like the bad guy. Like a stereotypical bad guy. When really the only reason he had to kill Hugo was so that Alita would come to Zalem because she was ready to just go off and just be happy and free with Hugo, and he was like, "Nah, I need you to come up here." So Hugo had to go.
Well, it's all like I said. This could all be just preparing for something else. The real villain, like like you're saying, it could be that it'd be going that direction where maybe she's being recruited to fight someone bigger, someone maybe with armor and 4 legs.
Uh-huh. Looks a bit like a horse sometimes.
Yeah. A great character, by the way.
Din, din, din.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there were some pictures floating around of preparatory artworks of that particular character. So he's being considered to be in there.
I think Landau released those pictures, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think it was John Landau that put them out there.
It was in the special features. They showed them in the special features, and they were talking about where the franchise might go in the future. They have a panel showing Dan in there, so I mean they would know what they put out there. So I even clipped it and used it as a video on Twitter as one of the little advertisements that we put out there. So yeah, I've seen it a lot of times. So they definitely have him in mind.
So I heard someone, I think the last live stream we were on, or I was on, or the one before that was we're talking about how Den may be small, and I don't know about that. I hope he's big, to be honest with you. I for sure think he's going to be in a sequel, by the way, but I think he's going to be both big and small, like he was in the manga. I don't know if anyone has.
Well, Panzerkunst is one of the designs is it's the fighter who's small is able to take on something much larger than themselves. So showing that off, you need a large opponent. So we've had Garishka, who was pretty big, but nothing in the scale of the character whom you're suggesting. So it would be interesting to see Alita fighting that particular character. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Sam's tried really hard to get on the stream, but it's just not working for him. He's in the chat, so say hi to Mr. Sam in the chat. He couldn't get through the door.
Hey, Sam, that's racist.
Technology fail.
YouTube account and didn't work, but that's why I'm on the last 300 now.
So, Leo, when are we seeing a new channel from you, man?
I have no idea. I don't even know if I am going to do it. I did start a new video before the whole yeeting happened, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Got a lot going on in real life,
Yeah, fair enough. I know what that's like.
Yeah. Coronavirus, I'm gonna blame it on that,
YouTube's diseased.
Apparently, sales of Corona have plummeted worldwide. The beer is heavily discounted in many places because people have issues.
My wife's family is Spanish. They drink a lot of Corona.
Will they be able to drink a lot?
I'm just saying, there's a coincidence here. Like, not to make a dark joke, but let's just be honest here, okay? They drink a lot of Corona. And there's someone in the hospital now. So let's just say that.
That's called alcohol poisoning. Slightly different. Oh, dear. So, last 300, did you get involved with the Twitter push at all? Were you chucking tweets around?
Which Twitter push? You're talking about the sequel?
Yeah, the sequel. Hashtag Alita sequel.
Yes. I actually did only one tweet, though. I was actually at the hospital currently at the time with a family member. But I did tweet out at least one, I think I did. either one or two. And I know for sure one was a picture of Den talking about how where we could go with the sequel, where I believe we're going.
Cool.
Yes, I saw it trending, and I remembered it. I did not even realize it was the 6th at the time.
Oh. Heavily distracted.
Very, very distracted. A lot going on. But it's all good. I mean, I just let's preemptively put F's in the chat for Dennis, our friend Dennis, who is suffering right now.
There you go. Put one in.
Tech support is down.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's terrible to hear. My honest, please, this I'm very concerned. Please tell me how to help.
Oh dear. So, Star, are you there?
Yeah, I was busy trying to get all up in Stella's thread over there.
Oh, no, that's cool. Just wondering, you've got your finger on the pulse most days of news. Is there any news that we haven't covered that you've spotted? We've already had a couple of breaking reports pop through from various.
I missed what you covered because I was busy. I was trying to help Charles get on, and I was also trying to do some stuff on Twitter as well. So I missed a lot of what you said. But did you show the picture of the banner, the early?
No,
I think I
couldn't
sent.
find it. Do you
I
have
sent
it?
one in the. I put one in the Hangout. Maybe you can scroll up and find it. If not, I'll just try to resend it. But
Paulie, can you grab that one?
yeah, if you scroll up, you might find it. It's a screenshot of a tweet from Challenger ST, and that's that's about all that you can see of the banner right there. You can't really see much else.
Actually, yeah. But you can see how big it is.
That's about 3 meters or so in height.
8 foot, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
8 foot and what? Like, you mean like width or something, or?
No,
length?
I thought
height.
Yeah, the height of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought you told me it was 8 foot, which it's a little less than 3 meters, but it's close.
Ah, there she is. She just popped up in the stream. So that will be the big thing in about 24 hours, is it?
Yep.
When the banner will be flying.
It'll be this time
They're
tomorrow.
gonna make me walk.
Yeah.
So our big hope is that will be reported on at least a few news coverages, cable news. And
also, we really need to hope for good weather because
That's true.
there's a chance that it may rain.
Well, we've got nearly the worst weather you could possibly have, so we've sucked some of that away from the rest of the world. So hopefully you'll have that.
For me in Germany, it will be crazy tomorrow. Like there will be a big storm coming, and people were advised to not go to work on Monday. Like they should stay at home if they can. So that is like crazy. Like at the moment.
Travel advisory warnings here for flash flooding. In the middle.
Sounds like you live in Florida.
This is not Florida at all. But I have never heard such kind of warning before, like in my whole lifetime, and it must be really bad, like that. So I will stay at home.
So it's the night here in Australia at the moment. Tomorrow in my area we start level 1 water restrictions because of the drought. And today it's expected we're going to have 250 millimeters of rain.
Poor spot. Are you gonna go to work?
And well, I don't know. It depends if the train line's underwater or not. Jesus. Just can't make up its mind.
Well, it's the end of the world, boys. All we need is an Alita sequel, and I'm good to go. You know?
Only one?
I just want to have the whole trilogy and the prequel and the McTeague spin-off.
Yes, the McTeague spin-off.
Now you're talking.
Yeah. Actually, for the banner event, I know that from was it the rap or no Hollywood reporter that our I forgot the name, that Kylie Harrington will be there, and she's informed about playing as well, so she might look out for that.
Well, the hope is that they can actually get some video footage, because if we can grab that and then put it on Twitter and get it out to Landau and all the peeps, these things start snowballing. My original hope was that we'd get a greenlit sequel announcement next weekend. That was my original hope.
I think that Armand and Marino will be there tomorrow. I hope at least that they make it and get some footage. And I hope also that somebody is talking about in that time. So I try to stay be awake at that time frame and look out for any tweets about that or any footage. So.
Well, I mean, Lightstorm knows it's going to happen. I know that for sure.
You say Lightstorm knows that the sequel is going to happen?
No, Lightstorm knows that banner's going to be up.
Oh, okay.
They know about the flyover. They know the details. They know yeah, Lightstorm knows the whole flight plan, the banner, everything. I told them all of it. So Landau will know that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure Rosa is also in his ear still, or at least sending him text messages, because he's already said that Rosa texts him and is always telling him that she wants to be in the sequel. And I know that she shares the things like today and the last time we trended and other things that we've done. So I'm pretty sure that he, at least if nobody else, he's finding out from Rosa.
Yeah.
So
we
you
can
would
also track the plane tomorrow.
definitely. So you would have thought that the movie been out. Well, the theatrical release was nearly a year ago, and Blu-ray's been out for 6 months. You would have thought that for just about any other movie, interest would have just fallen right off. So I have to congratulate the Alita Army and all you guys for keeping it in the news, keeping it current, keeping it trending. We are doing a fantastic job. I haven't seen any other fan base in any other movie keep up in the news and the buzz like Alita. So you should all be proud of yourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, Star, if you
I mean, why wouldn't anyone want to be, hyped about it?
Oh, exactly.
I mean, we've been stuck with listen, guys, I'm sorry to say this. I'm really sorry to say this, but we've been stuck with Marvel and Avengers for the last fucking 10 years. Like, that shit got old to me a long time ago.
Yeah, same here. I was done with Marvel so long ago.
Actually, I wasn't. I was still a fan until I went to see Alita, and then I was like, man, this is what real movies are like. And then after that,
this is cinema.
Yeah, it's like I took. Yeah, she gave me the red pill, and I woke up.
You got woke. That's all.
I know. I was like, yeah, especially after I saw the way that they were treating Alita, like the media and all that stuff, and how they were just gobbling Marvel's Jimmy Johns. I was like, well,
Marvel's
I think I'm done with Marvel from now on. I think I'm done with them from now on. That's how I felt.
Well,
I haven't seen any other. I saw Endgame, and that was it.
They finished the arc. It's like, what else you do now? It's not connected to what we've been watching for 10 years. So.
Yeah.
Kind of
those characters that are dear to the people or many people, and I know for me, like Endgame Infinity War was like the climax, and after that, oof.
Yeah, exactly. One thing we haven't talked about is Emma Watts leaving Fox. That was a big news for this week.
Yes, I, I
Yeah,
think
I
that.
thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I was gonna say I think the last 300 was about to say something really quick before we get to that.
Okay.
No. He can go ahead. Yeah, let's talk about that.
All right, Foxfire, go ahead.
Emma Watts leaving
So
Fox.
yeah, that brought up some on different speculations because there was an entire article talking about the implications of Emma Watts leaving, and she was like a higher up or an executive of Fox, and she was always the type of person who takes risks to get new movies and new IPs rolling, and she is like one of the persons who are close to James Cameron and like an advocate for him because he needs somebody between him and the higher ups to get those things greenlit, and she was like one of those mediums. And yeah, basically many people hoped that with her we would have a leg with Disney to get that sequel through, that she would berate those guys to get that push, but it seems that they put like the brakes on her and said no, that won't work, no, that won't work. And she is like, she maybe at one point have like went sore about that and just say, if I can't do anything like in this company, if Fox is just like pushing out 4 movies and then call it a day, and one of the slots will be per year, and one of the slots will be most of the time dedicated to Avatar. So what will be I left to do with Fox? So Fox is like just a carrier for rights to characters and IPs, but itself does nothing. Like we saw it with the Alita Twitter that went silent for months. They don't seem to do it much, like since they merged with Disney. And so she went over, and many people are speculating that she will go to Paramount, and this might be the place where Alita will follow her.
I'm hopeful
Hopefully.
because people looked at this and they went to pieces and they were saying, "Oh no, she's left 20th century. It's the end of the world. We won't get an Alita sequel now." Rah, rah, rah. And the thing about Hollywood is things can look bad, things can go along saying no, 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 and suddenly the stars align and you get yes. And that's the moment we're working for. We can't say with any sort of confidence how far in the black Alita is, what exactly Disney's thinking, where she might end up. But what we can do is just keep making sure they know that we want the sequel. And where that sequel opportunity happens to just pop up, and then they can grab it and run with it. And I think that's what Landau's doing. He's keeping all the feelers out. He's keeping all the options open. He's watching Emma Watts. He's waiting to see where she pops up, waiting to see what sort of influence she has in her new work digs. And then hopefully something will happen there.
Yeah, I'm going to say some things about exactly how I feel about it. I don't know. Here, I'll just say this. I don't believe anymore that the sequel is going to happen at Disney. I'm not saying that it is impossible. I'm just saying that I don't believe it's going to happen at Disney. It has to be somewhere else. With Emma Watts gone, and I think the reason why she left is pretty telling about why the sequel will not happen at Disney. If you look at why she left, and not only why she left, but some of the things that Landau said after she left, I think they are pretty telling. Let's just go to. I'm looking at the article now, and it says here. This is from the Hollywood Reporter that under Disney, 20th will now release about 4 movies a year theatrically, down from as many as 6 or 7, and focus equally, if not more, so on making content for Disney Plus and Hulu. Fox movies or Fox Marvel movies. I'm gonna skip past that. So yeah, they were going to have basically have to be limited to just for and focusing mostly on even streaming, and they were not going to take risks anymore. They took her power away. They stripped her down, and the only reason I think they did that is because, like people had said about her, she was about filmmaker-driven movies and about taking risks and and being really creative with movies and not just wanting to stick with the same reboots and remakes and things like that, which is pretty much all Disney wants to do now. So they stripped her of her power and focused 20th Century Fox, which somebody said, I think it was Bainham, who somebody said that the name just doesn't even mean anything anymore. You know, it's just a shadow of its former self. And
Live action
and
baby.
what yeah, and Landau said, I think this is probably the most key thing here is when he says, I hope they bring in someone who was filmmaker centric. Both people at the studio and the filmmakers have to have the same goals. You have to have mutual respect to have the best results. I think normally something like that would go without saying, right? You wouldn't have to say that. But the fact that he did say it to me is a sign that he knows that Disney is not going to do it. That he knows that Disney is probably going to go with somebody who will put
Will toe the corporate line.
right. And this is almost like him saying, "These are my conditions." Okay, go with somebody who's filmmaker centric, and that's the only way this is going to work. Because I'm going to read his line again. It says, "You have to have mutual respect to have the best results." And I think this is him saying, "Look, these are our conditions. This is what we need." And and if they don't get that, and I fully expect them not to get that, because look at Disney's track record. Was you go with look at the MCU. I understand they have a cinematic universe, so they kind of have to have the same. Um, they have to have a singular vision in a way, but that doesn't excuse all the opportunities to take creative or to make bold decisions with each story and each movie and to challenge the viewer. And they don't do that with any of their movies. They play it extremely safe, very mediocre, very boring, and that is um, by design. When I'm sorry to keep going on this long, but there's just I have a lot to say. Joss Whedon, right? Joss Whedon, when he did Age of Ultron, he had changes forced upon him, and his words, his exact words, was that it was soul crushing, right? And I know people give Joss Whedon a lot of crap because of what he did to the Justice League, but he had that done to him by Marvel Studios, by Kevin Feige, and so on. And notice, I think if you compare what Kevin Feige did to what um, Jim Cameron did with Terminator Dark Fate, Terminator Dark Fate got away from Jim Cameron because he had to let Tim Miller, for better or for worse, he had to let Tim Miller make the movie that he wanted to make. And we know there was a lot of battles that happened, but at the same time, he let Tim Miller have the freedom to make the movie he wanted to make, and of course, it bombed. But and a lot of people blame Cameron for the movie being bad, but that's just who he is. He's not, he's about filmmakers too. So he let Tim Miller do what he had to do, and that's how they think, and that's not how Disney or that's not how Marvel operates, and that's exactly the kind of person that they're going to bring in, somebody who is not about the filmmaker, and it's just going to play it safe. And,
Well, the
and
Rise of
things like that.
Skywalker was a perfect example. I mean, I don't consider JJ to be a particularly great creative. He's very rehashy in his own right, but he didn't want to come back and do the last movie after what Ruin Johnson did. And this is what the reports that I've been listening to. And he only came back on because they said that he would have total creative freedom, right? But obviously in the contract, they wrote that in a way that could be reinterpreted, but they ended up forcing changes on him. And I think you'll find that his reaction to the whole thing will be very similar to Joss Whedon's soul-crushing comments when the NDA is lifted from that movie. But apparently insiders were saying that he was very, very unhappy with what the studio forced on him. So it just seems to be a Disney thing. They hire creatives to make movies, and then the executive believe they know better than the creatives, and then they force changes on them. and we all see how that turns out, don't we?
Yeah, you see how many directors they lost, especially for Thor: The Dark World. I think they lost like two. Yeah, they were going to have a female director. They also with Ava DuVernay, they were going to have her on Black Panther at first, and she left. It's always creative differences, right? Because they know when they come in the door, they're not going to have the creative freedom to make the movies that they want to make. And this is Landau and his quote laying out his conditions. You got to have a filmmaker driven executive or whatever.
Well, it was pretty. The thing that struck me was it was pretty obvious that their attitude was to her was, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. I mean, they didn't care. I think they just did what they wanted to do, knowing she was probably going to walk, and they didn't even make any effort at all to try to, negotiate or talk to her about position and stuff like that. And that's why it happened the way it happened. It was pretty obvious that that's how it went down.
Yeah, I'd say they were trying to pressure her out. She came as part of the package, and they wanted her out so that they didn't have somebody sort of advocating for the creatives, because the executive at Disney want the control, and they basically pressured her out, made her position untenable. And they'll bring a lapdog in to replace her, and he'll sit there, or he or she will sit there accepting the paychecks and doing whatever the executive says. And I'm actually quite pleased that Alita isn't one of those 4 movies coming out of 20th Century in the upcoming years, because there will be no creative freedom.
Yeah, no, they'll bring in a Muppet. They'll bring in somebody they can, stick their arm up their back end and move them around, and make them talk.
I don't think that'll fit PG-13.
That's another thing I wanted to comment on, because I get a lot of comments from people saying, keep it away from Disney, they're going to ruin it. Now, on one hand, I do agree that Disney would try to ruin it. But if Cameron was to stay at Disney, I believe he would only do something like that because he knew he was going to be able to make the movie that he wanted to make. And so if the movie was going to be made at Disney, I would not be worried about it being ruined. So for those people who have those fears, I think you don't need to worry about that. You got to trust Cameron a little bit more. But
Yeah, no,
again,
I think if
they would
Disney
overrule
makes
him?
it, they'll make it good too. No, I think if Disney makes it, that it'd be just fine. The thing is, they're showing every sign that they really don't have much interest in that. But I think if they let him make it, that they let Cameron make it like Cameron wants it made.
Well, they can't force him because it's not their IP.
Yeah.
Is that?
Well, and if they're letting him do it, they're letting him do it because it's Cameron doing it, and that they'd let him run that show, I believe, and we'd be just fine at Disney. I'm not seeing any signs from them that they're going in a direction of thinking that way.
Well, like I said, you've got to have the stars align, and eventually the balls will line up, and they'll have an opportunity to start, I think. And then we've got to hope that the actors that we want to come back aren't so busy that, like there's supposed to be a sequel in the works for Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, depending on what you want to call it, depending on where you come from. And that particular movie, it did reasonably well. There's interest in a sequel. I believe there's a script that's been worked out, but getting the actors all together to actually star in the thing is their problem. They can't find a block of time where they can get them all together.
Yeah.
Well, you are talking about like Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt and some really like A-listers, right? No offense to Rosa, we love Rosa, but she was C, maybe D-list at the most, maybe. So I
She's
think
up and coming. She's still working on it.
yeah, she's got some jobs now, but I think like Tom Cruise is he's probably never gonna not have offers, but people maybe like Rosa still have to go out and look for jobs,
Yeah.
Rosa, of the ones coming back, Rosa, I guarantee you Paradigm would jump all over it. You would have to think Ed Skrein would come back pretty quick, although he's getting bigger. I mean, he did Alita and Maleficent and Midway last year, all three in the theaters last year. So he's busier. But and Christoph Waltz. Then you got to consider Waltz. He's always working. But I'm sure they do have all of them contractually set up where if they do more movies, they will come back and do the movies. This isn't an instance where a movie just did well, and so now we've decided we're going to make a sequel, but you can't really do it because a couple of the stars have gotten too big or too busy or something like that. They'll get them back, but yeah, I agree with you. That's why it takes 2 or 3 years to get the movie made, even if they started saying so now. There's so much stuff they have to set up.
I know it's wishful thinking, but I'm already hoping that they already started just planning, even though they haven't really said anything. Just start getting stuff in works, you know. And then if Disney says for sure they don't want to do the sequel, then just shove it off to take it to Paramount or Universal or Warner Brothers or whatever, and do that. But just start right now.
Okay, so last week our question was to the chat community was, how many Blu-rays have you bought and what is your best story when buying them? Now, I don't know if we got the tweet up for them to reply to that too. Did that happen, Star?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Dennis, I believe you are our Blu-ray buying man. Have you got any good Blu-ray stories?
No.
I did get the Blu-rays that he sent.
I always, right. The stars going to tell all the stars about the Blu-rays, picking them up, spreading them. I was just clicking some buttons and ordering them and wondering.
So you don't actually go into the store and get
about my
funny.
credit card statement.
Carry a stack of Blu-rays to the cash register.
Yeah, I had some observations in my local retailers that there were no ones available, and well, they haven't received any shipments since August, and something like that. Only negative kind of stories, only disappointing stuff. But I think the funny stuff can be told by Star. I was basically just clicking some buttons and checking my credit card statement.
That's no, you just click some buttons until the bank emails you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of awkward experiences trying to leave Blu-rays around, and even at first I started trying to hand them to people, and I think that people just were turning them down, just like, no, this looks suspicious. So I was like, okay, I just started leaving them around.
Maybe they thought you put drugs in there or something.
Yeah, I would just leave them for people to find, but I think even that still kind of gets I have some awkward experiences with that too, because you kind of gotta not look weird when you walk into a place and I'm just gonna leave this right here, you know. People are looking like, what is he doing over there, you know? That's uncomfortable, but I'd do it.
Apparently, Doc Ido's just dropped a video about Wendy supporting the Alita sequel and hashtag trends. So when we get finished up here, guys, you can go over and check out Doc Ido's latest free repairs. He's just come out with
yeah. That was due to the Glad Titans. What's his real name? What's his handle name? I forgot. He tweeted something to Wendy's, and Wendy said, "Yeah, I would love to watch a sequel." So, and that kind of snowballed after that.
Posted the link in the Hangouts, right to the Twitter post.
Actually, guys, I got to go get ready for work, so it's time for me to bow out. It was fun.
Thanks, Eddie. Have a good one.
Yep. See you next time.
300. See you. The last 300 had problems with his laptop, so involuntarily dipped out. You tried to come back, but I can't guarantee it.
Right. Well, we're starting to shed commentators here, so we'll probably wrap up pretty shortly. We've been going nearly 2 hours. It was a quick 2 hours, I've got to say.
Yeah.
So, guys, next week, the question obviously has to have to do with the anniversary. So what was your favorite Alita moment of the year? So Star of Elion will put up a tweet that you can reply to. Won't you, Star?
Either me or Dennis or Dizzy.
Yes, please. One of you do
one
it.
of us will.
So jump on that tweet and tweet your replies of what was your favorite Alita moment of the year. Got to say
Okay.
that.
I'm gonna set it up right now. Okay. Question.
Oh, he's typing it in as we speak. So you'll be able to go on there any
As is
moment.
on your mind.
It's always good to do these things before they get forgotten again. Alrighty. So that's happening for next week. So talking of next week's the big one. We'll have lots of people on. I believe Last 300 will be back. Hopefully Mr. Sam will have his problems sorted out. And there's mumblings of Enigma Seeker might be coming on. I don't know if that's still a thing or not. It might be still in negotiation. So, right.
The Enigma Seeker will be visiting John Lutz, so that's the reason why he might be up on stream, because they may be appearing both at the same camera. You could say.
Right, so there'll be like two heads instead of one.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see if that comes to pass. So next week should be pretty interesting. Just before I run the closeout, does anybody have some closing comments? Anything that we haven't covered yet?
No.
Not that I can think of, no.
Nope. Okay. So keep heart, ladies and gentlemen, Alita Army followers. We will get a sequel. It's just a matter of when this is going to happen. So look out for our next stream. It's titled Alita Battle Angel Theatrical Release Anniversary. As I said, it's going to be huge with the guests Last 300, Mr. Sam, hopefully Enigma Seeker. We should have Johnny Ringo in here with us. Usual crew who just can't get enough of this stream, so we're in here every week. Come and chat with us on the Alita Army chat. There'll be details. If you want to get on the stream here, there'll be details in the link in the bottom of this stream where you can sign up. We may be slowing down the output of streams after the anniversary. We might go to 2 weekly, or we might have a regular one and then just options popping up in the other weeks for various short topics. But thank you very much for joining us on the stream. We appreciate each and every one of you. I'd like to thank our chat guests who couldn't quite get onto the stream, but they are in the chat. That's Charlie and Mr. Sam. Charlie, thank you for all your hard work on those spreadsheets. They were pretty damn amazing. And hopefully all that will come to pass. Thank you for joining us, listeners. As I said, you are the guys who make the Alita fandom special. And I, as one, appreciate being part of this fandom, and I appreciate all you guys as well. So until next week with the big one, the anniversary, we'll sign off as we usually do. Everybody ready? 3, 2, 1.
Eyes on the Blu-rays, baby.
We really got it right that time. Thank you for listening. See you next week.